Yay, I'm back. Oh, let me shimmy. Oh, God. Oh, God. You know what? I don't even care. I'm keeping that. I don't even care. Okay. Oh. Oh, all right. For those of you watching on YouTube, I just almost ate shit in my studio, but here we are. Oh, hello, Cravers. I am so excited to be back again this week. Look at me, being consistent. You know, I'm locked in for 2025, and I just want to say the feedback and all of you guys sharing all of your goals and things that you want to achieve throughout the rest of the year means a lot to me. We're in this together for sure, and like we can do this. I will tell you probably 10, 15 times a day I've been saying to my friends and my family and Mr. Wright, you know, we're locked in, like this is what we have to do. And it feels really good. It feels good to get stuff done and to knock things off my list and just stay laser focused on success. Before we get into today's episode, which I want to talk to you about the new you versus the old you, because it's something that I found myself a lot saying, like, oh, old Adrian wouldn't do this, or old Adrian wouldn't do that. And I want to see, like, I want to like make this theory aware for you and see how like you can, you know, notice changes and respond differently to things in life. But we'll get into that in a second. First, I want to tell you about Mr. Wright and I's new favorite position. It's funny because we've been like I actually told him the other day, I was like, you know, I know we do that position a lot, but no matter how much we do it, I am not bored of it or even close to thinking that like it's repetitive or we're stuck in a rut. Like it is our favorite position, hands down. And what it is the prone position. Or I Googled it because I was like, what is the technical term for this? And it's called prone bone. Right? So it was funny because we were just like messing around and rolling around, and it happened by chance where he was like, I'm going to slip it in like this. And he was like, close your legs. And we've just been really, really enjoying it. And I think the thing that I love so much about it, even though I'm not looking at him and he's not looking at me, it's a very intimate position. I'm very vulnerable, and also like the depth and the penetration level of this position is just, it's incredible. Like every time he pushes in, I'm just like, oh, feels so good. And I tell him that like over and over, you know, and it's just been really hot. And something that he's been doing lately is when he gets on top of me, he'll kiss me on my back and down on my neck or on my cheek when I'm turning my face. And he'll take his arms and like go under my arms and like lock in with me. And it just feels very close, very connected. And we are just loving that position. It was funny because the other day he was like, we were like just doing all kinds of stuff, all different types of positions and all different types of things. And I think I was on top for a little while, and then he goes, Adrian, it's time to assume the position. And I was like, yes, sir. I got into the position, and it's just, we're loving that. So if you have not tried that in a while, do not underestimate it. I feel like it's a very, I don't know, I think a lot of people like it and they've done it before, but it's a underestimated sex position for me. And so prone bone, it's the way to go. Okay. Today, I've been wanting to talk about, you know, ways to, you know, when I first started the show, like I started talking about like midlife and the phases that we go through and leveling up and living your best authentic life and, you know, growing and glowing through what you go through. And I'm here to say, like, in the last 5 years of me doing the show, like I've achieved, I can't talk today. I've achieved that, right? And I'm really proud of myself. And I want to share this with you because I've been telling some of my friends, because I see it around the room, you know, like, you know, even with family and with friends and at work or whatever. Like some people, I just want to say to them, like, if you would stop your nonsense, there wouldn't be so much nonsense. Like, don't start no shit, won't be no shit. And just really, you know, learning from lessons. Like I have a friend who keeps repeating the same history with this guy that she should not be doing. And I think she said to me, she was like, I'm tired of going to learning lessons from him. I'm like, well, stop going to his class, right? Like, okay. So one of the things that I've noticed, especially over the last year or so, is that I act and move differently now. And that's from past learning experiences. Like that's one big blessing in midlife is that we get to have the experience and life lessons, and we have to choose to learn from them, okay? So when you live, you're gonna learn. Like life doesn't skip anybody. We are gonna get beat up a little bit. And the difference is, are you going to learn from those lessons and act differently in the future? Or are you going to continue the same vicious cycles and get stuck in your rut and have like analysis paralysis, if you will, which I just do not recommend for anybody. And I notice so many people really are stuck in that. So I want to share with you ways that I've noticed that I've changed. I say a lot. Oh, old Adrian would have blank, or old Adrian would have definitely done that. And it's funny because I think recognizing it is helping me keep changing and working better and being better in the future. I'm also going to give us like some scenarios, and you might feel very familiar with them, of ways that like old Adrian would, do her thing, and now new Adrian would never do that. I want you to think of yourself. Think of specific situations that you're going through and think, is that the old me response or going to be the new me? How is this working for you? How are these situations work for you? I feel like midlife is a very awakening phase, and I want to make positive changes and just have you living your best life. I sound ridiculous saying that over and over, but it's true. Okay, so one of the ways I feel like I really started not being the old me was with friendships. I had a lot of friendships that I was hanging on to just because they were, old friends or long-term relationships with them. And they weren't like the most positive influences on me. And I noticed a lot of takers were in my life. Old Adrian was someone who loved to fix people, give advice. I knew how to do everything. And I was I gave most of my attention and efforts to other people. And a lot of that was just being taken for granted. And so I really started noticing like friendships that I had, people that were takers or who were mentally exhausting, or they would only reach out to me when they needed something, or something Katina always says to me. She's like, Adrian, you provide entertainment. You're an entertainment factor for her or whatever. And I started really, really noticing that and stopping what I was doing. So I people please no more, right? I don't feel obligated to answer the phone or respond back right away or fix a problem for them or be there for them. I don't uproot my schedule or things that I'm doing just to, save somebody or fix something for someone else. That's something old Adrian used to do all the time. It's funny because my sister messaged me today and was like, hey, can you come up and help me move? And old Adrian would have been like, oh my God, yes, anything for family. But new Adrian is like, hey, I had a schedule today. I had things that were, planned, and I didn't know about anything, and she didn't give me any warning. And so as much as I wish I could help her, it's just I'm not able to right now. And the old Adrian would have felt so guilty and bad about that, but not new Adrian. I'm like, you know what? Like, I have to focus on me. I'm important too. Something else that I have changed big time in my life is that I no longer hold in my feelings. Holding in your feelings, not speaking up because of like fear of rejection or fear of what it will do or how it will end up, built a lot of resentment in me. My marriage, it was full of resentment. I mean, and a lot of it was my fault because I didn't speak up on the issues. Same thing with Prince Charming. I wouldn't speak up because I was scared or I didn't want to deal with it. And it just became this big snowball effect of like all the things adding up, and then I was just fucking done, right? And so I really, really have changed when it comes to that. If there's an issue, even the smallest ones, I talk it out as soon as I can, right? And I really do talk it out and face the issues. Meaning I share, very vulnerably how I'm feeling or how something made me feel. And that's a big deal. Just bringing up and not being afraid, because if I don't say something about it, the people in my life aren't mind readers, especially like in relationships, with Mr. Right. Like, he can't tell if I'm upset about something if I don't use my words, and so that's been a big thing for me, is not holding in my feelings anymore. And I just want to say I have a rule, and I told Mr. Right this in the beginning of our relationship, because in my past relationships, old me, I would argue about the same things over and over again. And that was just pointless. So new me, and I told him this, and I tell people in my life, like, I don't argue over the same thing twice. So whatever issue we're having, I speak about it to like, and I get it all out so that we're not talking about it anymore. I'm not nagging him about something else again, and we're not discussing it again. We've already discussed it. We're going to move on, right? That's been a big deal. That's something that I've totally changed in my relationships now. Another thing that I have completely changed, and I tell anyone who is out there dating, please, please pay attention to inconsistencies. It's very easy to see, right? Like most of these circumstances are very black and white. It's you that want to have those rose-colored, glasses on and see things better than what they actually really are. So when something or someone is inconsistent, when their energy changes, call it out and then cut it off if there's no changes being made or things aren't being rectified. Like, I cannot stress that enough. I remember people would say to me, you're so cutthroat and you're, you don't give anybody a second chance. And when, especially in dating relationships, I'm like, okay, if you can't show me consistency now in the beginning when it's supposed to be really good, like that's a problem. And I just wish people would listen to that more. Nobody is too busy not to respond back. Nobody is, has too much going on to go a couple days without texting you, or if they're going to make a date and then they fall through with it. Like, I gave zero tolerance to that stuff. And what it did was it allowed me to focus on myself and keep looking out there for the right guy, or the right person in my life. Because I wasn't wasting energy, time, or space with these other people. So that was a big, big deal. So think about inconsistencies. And even if it's your family too, like, any of the relationships that you have, when your energy is not being matched, pull back. And I know sometimes it can be really hard. I think about my situation with Mr. July. He was very inconsistent with me. A lot of talk, not as much action, and I fell for it so many times. Like, I remember joking around and saying, you only have 39 more chances with me, and then I'm done, no tolerance anymore. Like, I wish new Adrian could go back to that Adrian and fucking tell him and show him what was up, because I would have never tolerated any of that, and I wouldn't have wasted, God, that would have saved so much time. But again, I'm living and I'm learning. And so now the new me would never do that. Another thing that I want to talk about is being secure with myself. And that allows me to be secure in relationships. This is a big deal. I have acted totally different with Mr. Right than unlike any other relationship I've been in. I am just secure. Like, there's this nothing I stress or worry about for yes, of course, sometimes I do have insecurities and sometimes I do stress and think about things, but I don't let it go on for too long. I'm going to talk about more about that in a little bit, but like, I just really am just so secure and just, I'm so happy with myself that it just doesn't impact me anymore, where I would be like insecure about things or look more into things or let my mind run wild. And so that was a really big thing that I started doing too. Like, just truly being secure with myself. Take it or leave. Take me or leave me. Love me or hate me. Like, it just doesn't matter to me anymore because I'm secure with who I am. I think the world lacks a lot of that. That's another thing too that I want to talk about is like, I have completely stopped proving myself or seeking validation from others. And I think dealing with my ex-husband situation, I learned a lot with that, with like, not trying to stand up for myself anymore because it just simply doesn't matter. And then not worrying about what anyone else thinks about me because, again, it means nothing to me in my life. In fact, worrying about what other people think about me only holds me back from, doing what I want to do and who I am as a person and being happy in life. Like, I can't even stress that enough. When you stop caring, and by the way, people are really they really don't care that much about you. Like, you think everyone is going to say something or have, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, or what's their reaction? They really aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are. So be happy. And no matter what you do, someone's going to be happy for you and someone's going to be jealous for you and somebody's going to be mad at you. Like, it just doesn't matter. So just be you and be happy. And you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. The only person that, you're responsible for making happy is yourself. Okay. So that's one thing I've definitely changed. And I think that all just like goes into living, your true authentic self. when you think about, somebody could have tons of money and somebody could be the hottest person in the world and somebody could have it all, whatever that means. But really, I think the richest people and the happiest people in life are those that just genuinely love and are, secure with their self. If you think about that, like, it's really, really true. Something else that old me used to do was I would respond and not react. And I would also immediately just word vomit to everybody in my life. So something would happen and I would call Katina, and then I would call Zach, and then I would call, my brother, and then I would tell, and now new me, I take a minute and I'm like, okay, let me just this doesn't need to fester. This isn't that big of a deal. I don't need to spread the word, and not everything needs to be said to everyone. That was definitely a maturity thing for me. Not because I think you give fuel to it and it becomes even bigger than it was to begin with. And that's something I really learned, is that you don't need to share everything with everyone, even though I'm here sharing with you guys all the time. But, not everything, and especially with those that are close to you in your life. So I've cut back big time with that. And also letting go of control. The old me was a control freak. I feel like I gave so much energy and effort into controlling everyone and everything around me. And what a waste that was. I have truly learned that the only thing and the only person that I can control is me. And I can only control how I respond to things. And that has really made my life a lot more simple. And also talk about more peace, okay? And that is the ultimate goal, is to be peaceful, right? I just, I want to protect my peace at all costs, because that is that to me is a free life and a happy life. Okay, let's talk about some scenarios. And I want you to think to yourself, in what ways in my life am I, exhausting energy? Or am I seeking validation? Or am I not speaking up? Or am I holding back who I am because of what someone else might think? Think about those things as we're talking about this. So these are some specific scenarios where I have said to myself, old Adrienne, right? Okay, so this is a big one. And these are it's scary to admit this kind of stuff, but I think everybody does. So I'm just, I'm not going to hold back. All right, so who are you texting? I remember in pretty much every relationship I've been in, when I see him on his phone, I remember Prince Charming, we'd drive down the road and be on his phone the entire time. It used to drive me insane. And I'd be like, who are you talking to? What are you scrolling through? What is so fucking important? And I would get so worked up about it. And really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I don't care what someone's doing on their phone. That's something I really changed. Now, not to say that, when I first started dating Mr. Right, and he was on his phone, and I would be like, I wonder who he's talking to. Who's he texting? And that you would have that gut feeling where you're like, oh, he's talking to someone else. And I would immediately shut it down. And I would never, never, ever, ever go through someone's phone. That's high school Adrienne. But I know that the temptation is there. And sometimes I want to look, but I do not do it. It's just something that it just doesn't matter. If he's texting someone else, if he's up to no good, if he's creating a Tinder profile, there's something I can do to stop that. No amount of energy is going to matter or change the outcome of things. And so why worry? So I no longer get upset or what is he looking at? Who is he talking to? I genuinely can care less. And that has been very, very freeing. So liberating. So if you are someone that's who's my partner talking to? What are they doing? Just cut yourself off from that, because it doesn't matter. One thing I've learned in life is that no amount of energy or effort that you put into worrying about something or someone, what they're going to do, is going to stop them. Okay? If Mr. Right wants to cheat on me, he's going to cheat on me. If Mr. Right wants to do something dumb, he's going to do something dumb. There's nothing I can do about it. And so I'm just very confident in myself, and knowing that, number one, I will always be okay. And number two, I have to trust him, and I do. And I have to be secure with him in order for our relationship to be as successful as it is. And so that's a big one. Okay, something else that old Adrienne would do is constantly think, is something wrong? Okay, so is something, if you're quiet or if you're in a bad mood, is it me? Is something wrong? Or I would always take everything so personally, and I don't do that anymore. Even if one of my friends doesn't text me back for a while, or they don't talk to me for a couple days, or what, who cares? It doesn't matter. New Adrian doesn't get worried about that crap. Okay? Like, it's not personal. Mr. Wright, like, when he gets off of work, he needs like a good 30 to 45 minutes, maybe an hour of just quiet time. And I'm not gonna lie, like, if we first started dating and stuff, I'd be like, okay, like, I'm here. And then I realized, like, hey, he needs to, like, decompress right now. And so I don't pay any attention to it anymore. You know, I don't say, like, what's wrong? Or don't you want to talk to me? No, none of that. I just keep doing me, focusing on me, and everything's good. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with me if he needs some quiet time. There's nothing wrong. Something else that I do not do anymore is say, we can improve this. This process could be better. And that I'm talking specifically about at work. So, and I probably shouldn't say this because I want to be successful. I always want to, you know, I want to be hardworking and I'm a team player, whatever. But I have learned through my experience in my career that when you speak up, when you're constantly trying to fix things, when you think you have a better way, when you're saying, I have a process that can be better for this, it's actually not what your employer wants to hear. Okay? Like, I've learned that the hard way. So trying to reinvent the wheel or trying to change a process or trying to make things better, I go in, I be the best Adrian that I could be, focus on my job, and then I go home. I no longer take stuff personally at work. It's a really big thing for me. And again, it's not that I'm not trying to be, you know, all that I can be, but it's just, I'm the quiet one in the room now. I don't speak up in meetings. I'm not trying to fix the world anymore. And what I've noticed is that those of us that are, you know, playing the game, doing our thing, being quiet, like, we're the ones that are successful and thriving. It's the out loud ones who I used to be, that always have drama, that always have issues, and it's very draining. I learned that in my last role, and I will never ever do that again. So we can improve this. I can solve this. That's old Adrian. Not anymore. I'm like, everything's good. We are good. Okay? If the wheels aren't falling off, we're good. Okay. Another thing in relation to that, like when it comes to interpersonal relationships and family and close friends and even in relationships, is I would think to myself, I know what's best for you, or you should do this. And I really learned that it's their life. It's their responsibilities. It's their situation that they're going through. And I'm here to, I'd like to listen more than I do to like fix or solve or give advice. And that's been a big game changer for me. Like, I don't try to fix or change or help anybody anymore. And that's another thing too. I was just telling Mr. Wright the other night, because he was like, you know, Adrian, he was talking about Sober September, which, by the way, is not going well. You know, we have an agreement. We said Sober September. We said, okay, if there's sports on, or if it's really nice outside, or if the day's ending in Y. I know that's funny, but it's been tough. Like, we were golfing and it was such a beautiful day, and he brought me a high noon and I was like, thank you, boo. And then he was like, you know, football's on, you know, the Eagles are playing, and, you know, we're having a couple beers. Anyways, and so when we sat down, he was like, hey, listen, I want to get a beer. He's like, but I don't want to disappoint you. I know we're trying to do the Sober September thing, and, you know, and I was like, hey, I'm not going to change you. Like, you're a grown-ass man. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to, that's another thing. Like, I will never be someone's mother. I'm not mothering you in any way whatsoever. I don't make appointments. I'm not fixing your shit. I'll occasionally fold your towels, okay? But other than that, like, no mothering, no nagging, no telling you what to do. And old Adrian would control all of that shit. Like, oh my God, not anymore. So I don't know what's best for you. You will figure it out, and I'll be here to listen and support you along the way, but I am no longer taking on other people's problems. I know if you're listening to this, I know many of you find that familiar, and so stop that, okay? And then another thing that I've been doing, and I was talking about insecurities earlier, and I want to share something that happened with you. So any insecurities that I have, I shut them down right away. And this has been a tough one for me because, you know, even as secure and confident as I am, I have insecurities as well. And sometimes I get in my head about things, or my anxiety is like, hey, don't you want to worry about that? And I'm like, about what? You know? Okay. When I was going to Vegas, what was it, like last month or whatever, I know, you know, Mr. Wright was on a 3-hour, he was behind me 3 hours. And I was like, okay, I'm going to text him later, let him know. So I didn't text him until I was like on the plane. And I just said, hey, I boarded, I'm on the plane. And he said, have a safe flight, babe. And I was like, okay. And I got kind of upset because I was like, and I wrote back in big capital letters, like immediately I wrote, love you, because he didn't say love you. And he was like, love you. He's like, why are you yelling at me? And I was like, nothing. I was like, you just didn't say it back. Sorry. And I was like sitting there and I'm like, why would he say he loved me? Like, he's probably hungover and tired and had partied all night long in Vegas and like probably had strippers and they were swinging from chandeliers and they were just like having the best night of their life. Like, my mind was racing. Okay. Like, that's insane. And instead I sat there and I said, Adrian, wait a minute. Like, feelings, this is insane. Like, your mind is like getting the best of you. Nothing's wrong. But I will say, like, I was like sitting there for a little bit and I was like, and I had to turn my phone off as I'm taking off. And I like was like, damn, I wish I could have like said something to him. And I wanted to call him and be like, are we good? But no, because guess what? Like, new Adrian doesn't do that. And then when I arrived in Vegas, he texted me, you know, and he was like, welcome to Vegas, baby. I'm so happy you're here, you know, and he was at his conference. So I went upstairs and he left me like a note and all my favorite things were lined up on the bar area. And I'm like, see, nothing was wrong. Like, that little anxiety, that little, like, you know, mentee bee that I had on the airplane thinking that he was partying, you know, and having like tigers in his room and, you know, like fucking the Hangover movie and shit. That was ridiculous, you know? And so, and he is none the wiser. He has no idea, like, unless he listens to this episode, he has no idea that I was even thinking that. And that's just insane, right? So I no longer let any insecurities get the best of me. I just shut them down as soon as I can, right? Even if it takes 15 minutes, that's fine. Just shut them down. Okay. Like, this is something I just will not tolerate anymore. Is like any dumb, stupid thoughts in my head. Like, you gotta go. All right. Last but certainly not least, I think a big thing that I've changed in my life as, you know, I've learned lessons and tried to grow and become, you know, more, you know, I try to be so self-aware and I really work on my, you know, just the way that I react to things or respond to things, not react. But anyways, okay. I now am very cognizant of when I'm going to communicate with someone. For instance, you know, Mr. Right and I will have like a little issue or I'll be upset about something. And, you know, we could be running out of the house getting ready for work. That's not the time to bring that up, right? There's a couple times where I've had a conversation with him and I'm like, hey, I need to talk to you about blank, but it's at a time where it's the right timing. It's not when he's coming home from work and needs that decompression time. It's not when we're running out of the house or when, you know, I'm not going to see him for a while. And I don't text him like when he's at work and say, we need to talk later. None of that. I find the right time to have a conversation. And that's been a really big deal. I remember one time I was upset with him about something and I came downstairs and he was like, I know you're mad. And I was like, no. I was like, I don't want to say anything I'm going to regret. I was like, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour, and when I come back, we'll have a conversation. And he was like, okay. And then I didn't text him. He didn't text me. He did text me, actually, and he was like, I love you. I'm so sorry. You know, I wasn't thinking. It was something so dumb. But it's all about the timing, right? And that's something I never really cared for or noticed in the past. And so now I do. I think that, you know, my biggest takeaway with talking about all this stuff is that I want new you to be a peace protector. I want to learn the lessons from the past and move differently in the future. You know, like be cognizant and aware of, and even sometimes you say it out loud, like, oh, the old Adrian would have done that. Or think to yourself, like, the old me would, and then do the opposite, right? Because it's really peaceful here now. And I really do think that that's what allowed me to open up, to be vulnerable, to be happy with myself, and to be capable to give love and to have the love and relationship like I do with Mr. Right, you know? And so I just want you to have a happier and healthier and more peaceful midlife here, all right? So I will see you guys next week. I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet. I really want to do like a follow-up to the blowjob episode. I want to talk about ways to keep things spicy. Like Mr. Right and I do so many fun things. Like I leave little love notes for him and he'll send me like spicy texts in the middle of the day. And I was thinking about maybe doing an episode about that. Maybe hold on. Never mind. I was thinking of something else. I have another guest that might be coming back. I have to be careful on here. And so we'll see, but I will definitely see you guys next week because guess what? I'm not missing an episode for the rest of the year because we're locking in for 2025 and I will see you guys next week. I'm just talking. Fuck, I forgot to talk about Coco. Damn. Shit happens.